Hi, it's Jen from Shabby Fabrics. Today I am going to show you how to insert a nose bar into a face mask. As you know, we continue to have to wear face masks, and it looks like that's going to be for a while. So let's make them as comfortable as we can and as stylish as we can. All right, we're going to dive right into it. What's on the table? I'm inspired by color. By the way, if you're brand new, maybe like, who's Shabby Fabrics? Normally we're a quilting and DIY kind of company, building quilt kits and selling fabric, and now we have all kinds of amazing face mask supplies, so welcome. We would love to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. We all have all kinds of projects coming out. Maybe something will inspire you beyond face mask and elastic. So what's on the table? I'll move through that very quickly. We're going to dive right into the project. Face mask templates are awesome. They make it so easy to be able to make beautiful face masks. Hey, if we're going to have to be doing this, let's have as much fun and be as stylish as we can in these templates. Make it so easy. I'll be showing you how to do that today. This is the Creative Grid face mask template. We also have a face mask template set, and as you can see, small, medium, and large. Very easy to use, very intuitive. You're just simply cutting around those shapes and you're making your mask. But we went ahead at Shabby Fabrics and said, elastic is hard to find and what you do find is boring. So we went ahead and manufactured in South Korea this incredible soft banded elastic, and as you can see, in brights, pastels, and neutrals, making it just where you're going to be inspired and excited to be able to make masks, not only for yourself, but maybe friends and family, and to donate, because I know many people, you know, they would love to be able to have a handmade mask that you've made for them. And then people have said, Jen, show us how to put that nose bar in. We all know that wearing a face mask, when we can kind of mold that that very shapeable nose bar around our nose, they just tend to fit better. If you wear glasses, you're less likely to kind of fog up your glasses. Let's dive right in. We'll use the creative template here. I'll speak to that one because that one you'll still be able to make the small, medium, and large, and I'll just show you how you read that template to get that accomplished. So let's put this aside. By the way, this beautiful fabric is called Ombre Fairy Dust. It's by Vanessa Christensen, V&Co for Motive Fabrics. She's one of our favorite designers, and we love that with one piece of fabric, the front of the mask has one look, the back of the mask has another, and that is still one piece of fabric. And that's why I chose these, because they're fun and they're colorful, and of course they look beautiful with our elastic. Again, that's the same piece of fabric. I'll be working with the teal today. Sophie's our videographer on set. That was her pick. So this one is for Sophie. So let's bring our fabric over here, and I'll just show you what it looks like. As we said, this beautiful ombre starting with the darkest with all the silver metallic detail and fading to a lighter kind of teal aqua in the middle. The easiest way, make sure you have a nice clean cut, and let's examine our template so that you know how to use it. Very straightforward, but still, let me just make it even simpler for you. If you're going to make the largest mask, you're simply going to trace around the outside of that mask, and you'll need two pieces for the front and two pieces for the back. And we're going to go ahead and fold our fabric in half so we'll be able to do it all at the same time, saving us time. Now, if you want to be using the medium size, which is what I would be doing, is we'll just be lining up here with that M. And I would now just, instead of tracing around here, have a nice clean edge, make a nice clean cut with a straight edge, and now I'll simply line up here is what I will be gaining, and I will cut around this portion and this portion, and then we can just scoot over there and cut along, again, this dashed line right here for that M. And for, of course, a small one, probably for a child, again, you'll just be lining up, you'll scoot that over along this line, and you'll be cutting around that, and again, around the profile. So let's go ahead and do that. I am going to make a clean cut. Let's get ourselves organized. I want to go ahead and I want the darkest part to be on the front of my mask, so to speak. So let's go ahead. I really want to take advantage of the sparkles here. Let's clean our edge though, because I can see my edge is just a little bit varying. Go ahead with that. Now, let me put this aside, clean our space off. If you don't have a cutting mat at home, maybe you're like, hey, I'm not a crafter, I'm not a quilter, I'm just trying to make a really cool face mask. We have smaller mats available. Those are for very affordable. If you're going to be using a rotary cutter, which I highly recommend you do, you'll want one of these little mats. If you don't want to mess with that, you'll be able to go ahead and use a pen, maybe a disappearing pen, and just trace around your template and cut out with scissors. So that's another option for you if you don't want to be investing in a rotary cutter and a small mat. So we are lined up here. I'm going to also trim off the bottom. And here's why. I've got a 90-degree corner right here. This 90-degree corner is what I'm trying to achieve. So I will go ahead. Let's clean that off as well. So we are lining up here. Let's clean that edge off. And this little piece I'll talk about in just a little bit. That's going to be the part that's going to hold our nose bridge in place for us, and it's going to be secure through washings. You can absolutely be able to wash that. See, now that I've made that 90-degree turn just like that, I have this nice clean edge. So let's go ahead and turn that. Again, if you don't have a cutting mat like mine, you can go ahead and grab that. If you have a spinning mat, now that's the ultimate thing, because now the spinning mat, what's beautiful about that is you don't have to move this shape. Now I don't have one with me here on set, so I'll go ahead and I'll just move that into an optimal position for myself here. I'm lined up on this in here, and I'll make a cut. Notice I'm using a smaller rotary cutter. If you're one that subscribes to our channel, you know I normally use a 45mm rotary cutter. In this case, I'm not. It's much more difficult to make that very tight turn with a 45mm, so I'm using the 28mm here. And we are done and on our way. Let's make a little bit of a cut right there. Now from your leftover fabric, what you'll do, just a little bit, there we go. From your leftover fabric that is on straight of grain doesn't have that much stretch. The fabric that is on the curve does, or on the angle, I should say, does. What that means is from your leftover fabric, you're going to cut a strip that is 1 3/4 wide. Just grab your fabric here. Again, you could certainly do that with scissors if you'd like, but you know, these cutting supplies are so handy. Once you invest in them, you're going to find a lot of reasons to be using rotary cutters and rulers. I'm going to cut that to 1 3/4 by 4 1/2. So 1 3/4 here and by 4 1/2 inches long. And this is what's going to house our nose bridge. All right, so that's done. And notice it's going to have this beautiful stretch. We're going to need that. I'm going to start heating up the iron, but we're going to go ahead. Let's take some of that out of our way. And we are going to go to our sewing machine. So we know we have, this is our front. We know we want to have that beautiful color in the front, and this will be what we call our back. We'll go right sides together just like that. If you're inclined that you want to pin, by all means do that. And we'll sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance from here, arcing all the way down on both the front and what we're calling here the back of our mask. I'm using a coordinating thread, which will come into play because as you can see later on when we close our mask, we do use a beautiful coordinating thread. So I have a beautiful light aqua in there right now, kind of light aqua, light teal. Okay, so now we need to press the seam. So this is the top of our mask, right? This is going to be at the very front. I'll go ahead. I'm just going to pick a direction right now. I'll just pick pressing to the left, for example. And you can kind of just lift it up. Hopefully the overhead camera can see me kind of doing that. You have to do that, otherwise you're kind of going to iron in some wrinkles inadvertently. So I've got that seam going this direction, and I'll be placing these ultimately right side together, just like this. This is the right side. So I'm going to press the other seam in the other direction to my right, and that'll give me something called interlocking seams. Now, if you're a quilter, you know exactly what that is. And hey, if you're not a quilter, it's probably pretty intuitive that if we can get two things to kind of lock together, it's going to be more comfortable for you to wear, and it's just going to be more accurate when you sew those things together. So that's pressed to the right, that's pressed to the left. Now the side that's going to be closest to your face, which for us we decided we wanted the light side to be toward us and the more bright with the sparkles to the outside, that's the side that we'll put the channel in where the nose bar will sit. You'll grab that piece that we know has that nice flexibility to it, and go ahead and fold those edges in about 1/4 inch. It's not, don't worry if it's a little bit more or less, not too much more though, because we want to have enough space for the nose bar to fit in there comfortably and not be sliding around. So we have it fairly snug in there. So I'm just folding that under about 1/4 inch on each end, and then fold it in half with wrong sides together. And give a good press there. And now we'll just finger press where's that middle point. We want to go ahead and center the nose bar channel in the middle portion with the raw edges up right there. We'll begin to just kind of pin that into position. And see how this has this nice flexibility? That's because we cut it on that angle, which is again called bias. If you're a quilter, again, you know those terms, but if you're not, you are now learning some new quilting vocabulary. Bias means it's going to be on the 45, and really anything off of true grain, and it gives you a nice stretch. So when you're trying to make fabric move and arc, you want to be able to cut that on an angle so it'll cooperate with you. Now when we go to the sewing machine, what we'll do is we're going to sew something called a basting stitch, and it can be the regular stitch length. Sometimes basting stitch is a longer stitch. I'll keep my stitch length where it is, but I'm just going to sew like 1/8 inch seam allowance from here all the way down here and across here, and leave that side open. That's where we'll slide our nose bar in. Okay, so let's wait right there. I'm going to grab a nose bar. I've got one right here. So I want to point out something. Some of the nose bars have this paper here. The reason they have that is if you actually wanted to remove this paper and have it be sticky here, which it is, you could wear that on the outside of the mask. We don't want to have to keep replacing these because, of course, if you wear that on the outside of the mask, you have to throw it away, and we don't want to do that. I'm going to leave that paper on. It's well adhered. I feel confident when you wash. It's really not going to go anywhere. We're going to go ahead and slip our nose bar in just like this. At this point, we'll just kind of go up and over that seam. I can feel that, and push it all the way that direction. And then let's just come back here, and we're going to close that while we're doing our close-up photography. Let's secure that a couple times. We don't want it coming out. Okay, so now we have our nose bar in place, and I'm going to push it down. I'm going to push it down to the very bottom of this channel, and you can see that you've got control of it in there. There is a little bit of wiggle room. because as we sew the two halves of the mask together, we need to make sure that our needle is not touching that, because of course that's not going to work well with, you know, metal on metal. It's not going to work. So scoot that all the way down. Now we'll go right side together, and I can kind of see that seam right there. We'll go ahead and pin once again. As far as the length of elastic, on the Creative Grid template, they give us some approximate measurements. So for the small, 5 to 6 inches, and that's of course per side. Medium is 6 to 7, and large is 7.5 to 8.5. I'm 5'3". I find 6 to 6.5 is the perfect measurement for me, and I've gone ahead with this color elastic here with one of my favorites, and I went ahead and just pre-cut those. And I'll show you a really simple way to insert those. Now, I know there's a lot of ways that are out there to insert elastic that take a lot more elastic. So I'm going to show you an economical way where you're getting what you want, beautiful soft elastic, but you're not using gobs and gobs of it and then potentially cutting it and throwing it away. I've seen those where they have kind of channels on the side, and it's requiring yards of elastic. This is just 6 inches for 2 pieces, so it's a really economical use. So what we're going to be doing, we'll pin our mask together, and we're going to, I'll show you the most efficient and fast way to put the elastic in, and it works really well where that elastic is not going anywhere, and it's going to survive washing after washing after washing. We'll need to make sure that we leave an opening, and we'll probably do it down here on one of the sides or here where we can turn our mask through. So let's go ahead. We're going to get started. Let me just get it good and pinned. Pinning, as you can see, is one of the most important steps to accurate sewing of any kind. So even if you're fairly new, grab some pins. They're going to serve you well and help you get the results that you're looking for. All right, I'll go ahead and start about here. I'm going to come with a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way across, up and above, and once I get about here, we're going to insert our elastic. It's easier for you to see what I'm going to do right here before we even get there. Once we get into that corner, I'm going to insert this elastic on a 45-degree angle with a little bit of it protruding out, and I'll go ahead and just kind of pin that really with my finger. I'm going to go over that a couple times and reinforce that, because that's where the stress is going to be on this mask. Then once I pivot and come down this direction, I'm going to once again lift this up, arcing this around so that our elastic is nice and flat, there's no twist, and again be coming into that corner at a 45-degree angle with a little bit sticking out. Bring my fabric back down, pinch, reinforce, and do the same over on the other side. We will allow, I think we'll go ahead and put our little start and stop here. We'll be able to turn the mask through there, but it's easier for me to explain what I'm going to do, and then you're looking for it as I do it here at the sewing machine right now. Let's go do this. We're going to have a mask here together in absolutely no time. So right about here, I want you to again see what we're doing at the 45. I try to keep the fabric out of the way so you can see that. It's okay to have a little bit of that elastic sticking out. We want to know we have it. I'm going to back up a couple, 2-3 times. Now we'll lift that flap, arc it around so we don't inadvertently sew down that track and sew our elastic down, which is not going to help us out. Make sure we have interlocking seams down there. Right about there, I'm going to stop. This is going to be our opening. We need just a couple inches. Start about right here. Arc around. I should have started probably about here, so I had a little bit more space. So next time if I made the mask, like I said, I'd start about here, just so it's a little bit easier to roll the fabric back. No big deal. We'll just kind of push it back there. So once we have our mask here, of course you'll clip your threads and go ahead and clip those four corners. That little bit of elastic that's kind of poking out, we certainly want to get rid of that. And now we'll turn our mask through our opening. And it'll be a little bit stiffer because it has the nose bar in there, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and turn our mask through, see how we've done. You can use the elastic to help you get it turned out. One of my favorite tools in my sewing room, it's called a point turner. Anytime you're turning something out, just like this, it's really, really helpful. I've got it with me, where you can get in there in places that your fingers can't reach. It's got a point as well as a curved portion, so whether you're turning something through that's got a point or a nice arc to it, this is super helpful to just get that corner exactly turned all the way through. All right, we know we have an opening, and you can see even as I just pull it, it just wants to go in, bless its heart there, by 1/4 of an inch. We'll take that to our iron and just iron that down. And I talked about top stitching this, which is really helpful. You have to close the opening anyway. We already know that. Let's get that into position. Now you can, I kind of just raise, actually I'm going to push that nose bar back down. I wanted to raise it back up. I need to push it back down. We're going to top stitch this now. And that's what this is right here. Notice this one has a tuck on the side. I want to show you something, so I want you to see this. For me, when I don't add a tuck to the side, it's just a little bit bloomy. Let me show you what I mean. This part. There's the nose bar. I really like having a tuck in there. So what you can do, why don't we go ahead and sew all the way around it first, and then you can try your mask on. You might like that. It might work for how you style your hair or just the way it fits your face. You might not want that tuck. So before you put that in, go ahead and close that and do the top stitching. Let's go do that now. Push that nose bar out of the way again. I can feel it in there, and we'll keep pushing that out of the way. Let's start here. It doesn't really matter where you start, and we're just going to do an 1/8 of an inch stitch. Okay. So now, of course, you would decide, do I want that tuck on the side? If you decide that you do, The easiest way is, of course, you might even kind of just try it on, see how much you like that. It feels like about that. It's a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch. Works well. Go ahead and pin from the outside. That'll hold that in position for you. If you went down, we'll do the same amount over on this side. Again, pin out here to hold that in position. And go over that a couple of times. Okay, our beautiful face mask is just about done. We'll clear off our thread. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm gonna try it on, and you can see how the nose bar really helps, and of course the tucks to really fit well. Let's try this on. And it can just form that right around my nose. Put my glasses on, no problem. You can see how it fits so much better along the side of my face. So hey guys, if we're going to be wearing masks, let's do it with style, with beautiful fabric, wonderful elastic, and of course these templates make it so fast and easy. So thank you so much. Hey, share with a friend, maybe somebody you know, like my daughter has to wear a face mask all day at work and again at college. If you know someone that would love some stylish masks, let them know about Shabby Fabrics. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on a future Shabby video.